Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the War on Pop Culture presented by the Dark Ether Files podcast. I'm Special Agent Spooky Clutter,
I'm Special Agent Carter Sauce.
and we are joined once again by our guest speaker, the King of a Nation. Hello there.
Good evening.
All right, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, excuse me. I don't want to excuse the ladies. Just saying. So tonight's topic, we are talking about tokenization. This is our first official episode. If you guys remember, the last week's episode was our prologue episode, just kind of setting the stage for the war on pop culture going forward. So this is technically episode 1, and that is tokenization and the hypocrisy of diversity and inclusion. So before we get started on our topic tonight, or topics, I want to thank everyone in the chat for coming to support us. I want to thank all of our supporters, all of our friends. We really appreciate you coming in and hanging out with us as we discuss some of these interesting topics. And I will now address the chat. Bacon Pew Pew, my man, he says, hello there. See what I did there? Yes, General Bacon. Or do we call you General Bacon Pew Pew? You let me know. All right, so
BPP.
So this is how we're going to kind of work this. So we're going to define tokenization for you guys watching. We're going to give examples. We're going to give our thoughts. And we're also going to be talking about diversity and inclusion. And this is related to tokenization, as you will soon find out. We'll also be making references to a YouTuber by the name of Eric July, also known as Young Rippa59 on YouTube. I have his channel link in the description. So if you guys want to check out his channel, please go support him. He does a lot of really great content, very entertaining, and he knows what he's talking about in regards for tokenization. And as a quick little disclaimer, most of us here are not well versed in all the comic books. We have very limited experience. I've read comic books over the past like 20 years that I've been alive. And so I'm aware of some characters and some of their backstories. With that said, I don't know everything. So just bear with us here. Tokenization is something that has been done more recently. It's been done certainly in the past, no doubt. It's just we're noticing a trend these days within the past, I want to say 10 years, where you have characters that are being tokenized. And it's not being done organically. It's not something that is entirely positive either.
Right.
So as we get into this, let's go ahead and have a little definition time for tokenization. So some of us here have taken some notes just as to help us do a little refresher on things. And this definition of tokenism or tokenization comes from Eric July. I'm going to be, like I said, I'm going to be referencing him as we go through this series because he's the guy that introduced it to me, the idea of tokenization. I've watched a lot of his videos, and he's been going into detail about how characters have been tokenized and the negatives about it. So let's go ahead and get started. Tokenism. The gender, race, or sexuality change of a pre-established character. It is purposeful and with intent. Once this tokenism occurs, it is then referred to as a tokenization. So, tokenization, gender, race, or sexuality change. If you guys saw on our thumbnail, you saw there were 2 different Supermen. You had the traditional Superman that we're all familiar with, Clark Kent, and you have a black Superman. Now, this particular Superman is either Calvin Ellis or Val Zod. And the knowledge I have on those 2 characters is pretty much that they are from an alternate universe, an alternate version of Superman. And they both are Supermen. It's not a case of that they're black Kryptonians. They are white Supermen. Okay. Miles Morales. I'm pretty sure that quite a few of you guys probably like Miles Morales Spider-Man. A lot of you probably first heard of him in the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse animated film. And that's probably where you got most of your exposure. I was familiar with Miles Morales before then, but then of course they brought into the Spider-Verse film. So yeah. Before we go any further, I'm going to address the chat once again. Bacon says General Baconator will work. All right. I got that on note. We
General.
got Kyle Fletz from Fletz House of Horror. Hello there. He says, hey, Caleb, Carter, Mr. C, and Bacon, and hope you have another awesome show. Well, thank you very much, Kyle. We appreciate you stopping by.
Mucho
Thank you.
gracias.
So other examples of tokenization include female versions of male characters. You see this with Supergirl, Spider-Woman, Batgirl, Batwoman, Miss Marvel. These are female versions of characters that we know. Obviously, Supergirl from Superman, Spider-Woman, Spider-Man, Batgirl, Batman. You also have She-Hulk, which is derivative from Hulk,
The Hulk.
right? So you're probably wondering, okay, what's going on with this tokenization? What is the big deal about it?
And what's the problem?
And what is the problem? Yes. Well, the thing is with tokenization is that these days it's being done with a very specific political intent. There is how would you say, motivation,
Agenda.
motive behind it, agenda. Yeah. So let's see. Oh, Bacon says, let's see. I think Black Superman is a completely original story. I don't think they introduced him in the comics. He basically the exact same backstory and story as Superman. He's just African American. Well, that's the thing. You basically just answered our question. That he is what he is, a Black Superman. He has the name branding. He has that similar backstory. It is a Black Superman. Now, what's the problem with that? Well, first of all, it's unoriginal. First of all, you literally have a Black Superman. We already have a Superman. We don't need a Black Superman.
Exactly.
It would be different if he was a Black Kryptonian and he wasn't brandishing the S, right? Because you're just mooching off of Superman. They literally created him to be the Black Superman. In fact, and don't completely quote me on this, but I was hearing things about Black Superman like 5 years ago, I think, where one of the writers or the creator of the it was either Val Zod or Calvin Ellis. It was based off of a comic depiction of Obama as a superhero. And then they created a Black Superman. And that's what he is. He is Black Superman. Just from an alternate universe. Okay. But he is that universe's Superman.
Okay. Now to add on to the idea of the branding of the S though on the chest though is now this is a little off topic though, but I've seen the CW version of Supergirl, like the first season, and she said that the S is actually a crest, like a coat of arms to the House of L.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what she says though. And in the show, Supergirl, Superman is actually Kar-Zor-El, or Supergirl, is actually Superman's cousin. Now, I'm not sure if that counts as tokenization, but I'm pretty sure.
Well, when she was created, she was meant to be a female version of Superman.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure.
Whatever the explanation was in the TV show, which came in more recently, they originally created the character to be a female version of Superman. Now, let me just put this out here for anybody watching. Don't let what we say here ruin your enjoyment of the character, okay? I'm here to define tokenization, identify it where it can identify, and as a personal note, I do like some tokenized characters. Okay, there are some characters that are more well done and better handled than others. For example, She-Hulk, early on, she was a derivative, a female version of the Hulk. But as her character began to be fleshed out, she had her own personality. She's still a tokenization, but she's also grown into her own character.
Right.
And if you like that, you like that. If not, then you don't. So go ahead, Carter.
Oh, another part of like I said though, it's either just lazy writing or it's just like that meme though. Like, hey, can I copy you? Sure, just try not to make. Can I copy your homework? Sure, just try not to make it look too similar. Example.
So is that profitable to do that, Carter? In your opinion?
If it's the same name, then that depends on how you're doing it though. Like, okay, like imagine okay, like I'm going to take an example from Resident Evil from the video
Okay.
game. Okay,
Right.
example. So
Versus the new movie, right?
yes, I'm about to say that. So in the game Resident Evil, Leon S. Kennedy, the one of the playable characters who is a rookie cop, is actually is a Caucasian male, and he's not like totally not he's not incompetent. However, in Resident Evil WTRC or Welcome to Raccoon City, he is played by Avon Jorga or Yorga. If you don't know who he is, he was in a show on Nickelodeon called Victorious.
Mhm.
And the way he was portrayed by a Canadian actor, a British, Indian, English, German, and Welsh descent. And they made him basically about as useful as fucking Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah, the portrayal of Leon Kennedy in Welcome to Raccoon City was kind of embarrassing, to be honest. At first things first, he was tokenized. They made him. I guess he's. I mean, he was a darker skinned fellow. He wasn't a Caucasian blonde male with blue eyes. And
Oh, sorry to add on to it. Like we never see like the only film we see Leon Kennedy like close to him being like how he's supposed to be portrayed is in the shitty version of Resident Evil is in Resident Evil Retribution with Mila Jokovic, which basically that film series is I don't call it canon though. I just call it a tokenization of bullshit though. How do I think it is?
tokenization.
Not well, actually, I call it exploitational bullshit though, because Mila Jokovic was actually married to the director of those Resident Evil movies, and I'm pretty sure he just did that just to exploit how hot his wife is, though.
And that is not a tokenization, by the way.
Actually, I call that a shitty adaptation of the game, though. However,
Yes,
like,
I agree.
yeah, but they sort of got him right though. Like, they got the guy, the actor who played Leon. They did a perfect job though. It's like not to mention though, like he had the outfit on from when he has like the bomber jacket. It looks similar to what he wore later on in the game though. I think it was Resident Evil 4 or whatever Resident Evil. I'm little short in the Resident Evil universe, but enlighten me. Let me know.
Mm-hmm.
Compared to this one was just like, are you fucking kidding me? Or like here's the thing though, if you're going like here's an idea of tokenization though, which ruins everything though. If you're going to make a movie or a TV show, stick to the fucking source material. You want to know why? Because basically here's the thing though, if you're gonna make a movie or TV show, you stick to the source material. You don't
Right.
fucking change it. You change it, you're gonna piss off a lot of fans though, and it's just gonna be like, okay, you know what? You did us dirty. You know what? Fuck you. That's what it's going to be like.
Yeah,
Because
one of the biggest questions that one person should ask is when they do a change of an established character's backstory or background, as in if they were to like they changed Leon from a white guy with blonde hair to a I don't know, would he be considered Mexican? I guess. I mean he
He
was
looked like
dark
more like
skinned.
from India.
Okay. And
British
Well, yeah,
Indian.
so
something
yeah.
similar to that.
So the question is, why would they do that? Why would they not look for a person who would fit the role of Leon Kennedy from the games? You're making a direct adaptation from the games, which aside from a few little missteps here and there in the film, it did feel like a Resident Evil movie. It felt like just like it did in the game. And
Early
right
on, it
now,
did. Early
yeah,
on,
I
it did.
mean, I'm playing through the Resident Evil 2 campaign right now, and it's a really interesting world. And I saw a lot of similarities to the movie. Obviously, the game came out first. The one I was playing was actually the remake, much better graphics, by the way. But when I saw Leon in the trailers, I was confused as to why they had changed his race. And the thing is that it's kind of lazy, to be honest, and it's also being done these days with agendas. Lazy because you are banking off of the popularity of a character, and then you decide to switch the race to I would assume to appease certain groups of people, and that's what a lot
Yeah.
of tokenization is doing. When you're changing the race of a pre-established character, you're not doing it because it's something natural or organic. You're doing it because somebody complained about the lack of representation.
Well, it's like what the Joker said. It's about sending a message.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'll give you another example. Falcon in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They changed him and he has taken on the mantle of Captain America. Okay. First
Well, you
of
know what
all,
that means? You know what that means? That crushes Falcon. I mean, Falcon is an established character.
Falcon is a original black superhero or
Right.
black hero. He doesn't have any superpowers, but he's his own character. And they did this in the comics too, where they made Falcon take on the mantle of Captain America, and then they did this in the film too. Although it was officially done in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, the Disney Plus series, and I felt kind of confused as to why they would even do that. Like they should have just left Captain America to
Steve
rest,
Rogers.
essentially. Put the mantle to rest. Let Falcon stay as his own character. Instead, you make him the black Captain America, and that's really the only definable trait that somebody can first, label on is that, oh, you got the original Captain America, then you got the black Captain America. It's like, no, he's always going to be Falcon to me, and that's much better because you're not getting the sloppy seconds from some other guy.
Yeah. Speaking of Black Captain America, what about that first African American super soldier that in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, like he never got any credit though, but like I'm pretty sure it was just like, I'm not sure if it was like a racist thing or anything, or sort of like a hidden figure type thing.
Well, I
But
didn't really like that story bit in the series. I felt that was kind of divisive, saying that he was like the first super soldier. I think that's what they were trying to say. It's like, no, I'm not going to buy that.
no.
Captain America was supposed to be the first super soldier, at least the first successful one. He's Captain America. What I didn't like about that series is that they kind of put a negative label on him, on Captain America, or the idea of Captain America. And so that's why you have like that one guy. And then that whole show was just filled with this sort of identity politics message about, black people being oppressed. And it was just really divisive. And then, of course, it ended with the new Captain America telling the corrupt senator, he's like, "You got to do better, Senator." I laughed at that, by the way. When he said that at the end, he said, "You got to do better, Senator." I'm like, I laughed my ass off because it sounded so cheesy. And, some people like that speech. Some people think it was a really good speech. It's like, yeah, maybe, but the entire show was just kind of crap. And it was all leading to Falcon being the new Captain America, which is a demotion.
Yeah,
And
it really is because of his establishment as a character, and he had power too, and he was very effective with the rest of the crew, and performed very well. And I mean, for me as an older guy, when I saw that scene, it means something totally different for me. When sort of the passing of the mantle, if you will, of course, completely unnecessary in my book. So what happens to Falcon? Does Falcon does somebody else step in and take over? Hey, I'm Falcon now. And, how is that all going to play out as a side note?
Yeah, I mean, who knows? And I mean, to be honest, though, I'm not really looking forward to the future of Marvel. I think that I might stick around for Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Maybe I gotta see a trailer first, but Spider-Man: Far From Home is probably my final check-in with Marvel for a while until I see something better. It's I don't know. We'll see what happens. I hope that Spider-Man: Far From Home is good. I don't want it to suck, and I'm really hoping that we see certain characters in there again. Seeing Alfred Molina as Doc Ock and Willem Dafoe as the Green Goblin is really exciting.
So Defoe's gonna do a facial cameo, or is it gonna
I
be?
have no idea. I don't know,
Okay.
but you can hear his voice in
Yeah.
the trailer.
Yeah, Alfred
so,
Molina is gonna be in there. He's
yeah, you saw
obviously established.
Doc Ock.
Yeah, not
Right.
to mention, the OG Green Goblin outfit though. Like you could see it. Not to mention the pumpkin bombs. Like first time I saw, like, oh shit! Like, oh my god, they've got him back though, along with his laughter. You know it's gonna get good though.
Yeah. So we got Rusty in the chat. He says, "Sup, Caleb and Carter? How's the evening going? How you doing, man? Good to see you here." All right, so back on track. Somebody help me out. We were talking about Falcon and the passing of the torch for him becoming the new Captain America, and how I really don't like that idea because they're taking what was the original black character,
right,
and giving him sloppy seconds.
Right, and you're vacating that spot. It's like, so Falcon just goes off into oblivion and doesn't have any meaning anymore. I think that's complete, utter disrespect to the character.
I mean, he's just known as Captain America at this point now. He's the new Captain America.
Yeah.
But I think they should have just let the mantle of Captain America, rest in peace with Steve Rogers. I would feel the same way if they gave the mantle of Captain America to Bucky. Maybe he deserved it more, being Steve's friend and all, but Captain America is Steve Rogers.
Well, let me tell you something, and I'm not going to elaborate on this, but when you watch that scene, for those of us that are older, like 5 decades down the road, when we those that are informed saw what we saw at that bench with Steve Rogers and what's the actor's name for Falcon? I can't remember
the character's name, or
no, his real name, I forgot his name. Anyway,
I can't remember.
I'll just let older people kind of flesh that out, because I'm not going to step into that area right now.
Okay,
it's kind of sensitive, but for me as an older person, man, that's right, a man, watching that, it meant something else that was not necessary, and that was sending a message, and they knew it and so again, for the listening audience that it's been on this earth for at least 5 decades, they will definitely see something that it's not really uncomfortable anymore, but if you see what we've gone through in the past here in America over that, you would say, hey, yeah, it wasn't necessary. So I digress. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, see, the thing about tokenization these days is that there's a political motivation behind it. And this can clearly be seen with how white characters are being turned into different versions, whether that be black versions or a straight character turned into a gay character. You see this kind of push for more of that these days. And it's not being done with a wholesome intent, because you saw this with the Eternals. Now, I haven't seen the Eternals, but I know that I would say over half of the characters that are the Eternals were all tokenized versions. You had a gay couple in there. And when we're talking about the hypocrisy of diversity and inclusion, this is what I'm talking about, where you have a major film studio that gives us the first gay couple in a Marvel film. And the film isn't being shown in countries like countries in the Middle East, as well as China. Now,
probably Russia also.
No, it's actually being shown in Russia, but they've actually labeled it as rated R, which is interesting. And that's confusing as hell, because it's just a
what that is. What that is their way of addressing the homosexuality thing.
Yeah, I guess it's just I don't understand how they would label it as rated R. That's I haven't seen the movie. I don't know exactly what's in there. I've heard that there's a sex scene in there. Of course, the gay couple was in there, but the film was marketed with everything about diversity and inclusion and how people can be able to see themselves in a Marvel movie. And I'm going to touch on that a little bit later, but it's hypocritical because Marvel and Disney were preaching about diversity and inclusion, but they won't show the movie in certain parts of the world because those parts of the world aren't accepting of that. So I find that to be very hypocritical because if you're going to stick to your guns about being, pro Black Lives Matter or pro LGBT, then you wouldn't fuss about it with China.
Well,
You say, "Oh, China, you know what?
yeah,
If you don't want to support our movie because it has a gay couple in there, then we just won't put your movie in your market anymore."
right.
Obviously, we know that Hollywood and China are practically in bed together. We've
Yeah.
seen this controversy with a few different films.
Yeah, that's
We
right. That's right,
also have
Carter.
seen China's influence on American sports. For example, the NBA. Just as a little side note, I mean that is pop culture. Sports is pop culture. It's a form of pop culture. But there was a lot of censorship going on with NBA and people speaking out against China. Um, you had a streamer. His name was Blitz Chung. I believe that's what his name was, and he was a game streamer, and he was in support of the Hong Kong separating from China, and they removed him from the they banned him from the streaming or the gaming, you know,
Yeah,
convention or what I
right.
forgot exactly what it was, but they banned him. Okay, so we can see that there's a lot of pull from China in regards for
Well,
what
sure.
gets
Right.
put
They don't.
out,
Right. They
and
don't. Nobody talking about freedom.
yeah,
Yeah. Go
and
ahead.
the thing and things like Spider-Man: Far From Home, I know that's going to be in China as well. And one of the reasons is that not every movie is going to have this representation necessarily. You're most likely not going to see any kind of LGBT representation in Spider-Man: Far From Home. I wouldn't think. If it is
No
there,
Way Home.
it's something. Oh yeah, thank you. No Way Home. What was I saying? Far From Home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. So No Way Home. My mistake, guys. Thank you.
Apology accepted, Captain Neater.
Funny. So you're not going to see a lot of representation for at least from the LGBT side of things in Spider-Man No Way Home, I would surmise. And if you do get something in there, it's something that can be edited out. Because I'll give you an example. In Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, towards the end of the film, when all the resistance fighters are celebrating the
Resistance.
planet, you have two characters, two women, they're lesbian. They have a kiss. They have a lesbian kiss at the end of the film. And so what happened is Disney actually cut the characters out. Like they cut that scene out. And
For
because the
China?
scene was like a blink and you miss it moment, it was easy for them to cut out, and it had no real relevance to the story at all, which was jarring to me. It's something that was just like they want to talk about representation, but it's just I don't know. I mean, what do you guys think about that?
Well, I want to drop something else. I wanted to say earlier was that, nobody talks about what's going on in the Middle East as far as, you know, acknowledging homosexuality and relationships in that matter. What they're doing in many countries is throwing people that are homosexual off rooftops or hanging women that are lesbian, for example. This never is addressed at all in the so-called what's left of Hollywood. And not only that, Hollywood is really at the end of the, it's collapsing.
Mm-hmm.
China's has been heavily involved, has milked that, but nobody's ever addressed that at all.
Basically, Hollywood is
Go ahead,
okay.
Carter. I'm going to address the comment
Okay,
after.
so basically, Hollywood is sucking on China's blue dick. Now, you're probably wondering, why would you make that innuendo? Okay, imagine Hollywood and, like I said, though, like, they don't want this thing, okay? So, it's like Morpheus said, you take the blue pill, you wake up in bed, and you continue to believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and you see how deep the rabbit hole goes. That's what there is, though. Like, basically, Hollywood it's just it's basically like in the Matrix, though. That's basically the Matrix, though. Like they just believe what they want to believe, though. When instead of the truth, though. Do you want to suck the blue dick, or do you want to eat the red pussy? Which one do you want? So I'm pretty sure they're just sucking the blue dick. Okay, I am so sorry. I just had to
Very
explain that.
interesting analogy there.
Ain't nothing like no blue dick, man.
Mhm.
Okay, no blue dick. Okay. All right, so Rusty says, trying to understand. So you don't want the gay characters in movies, or you want them to stand up and back it up rather than capitulate to places that don't like it. So first of all, I have never advocated for not having gay characters in film. What I'm saying is that I find it very hypocritical that Disney will lecture us about how they're pro LGBT, and like
Right.
many other companies here in America, they or in the West in general, that they will, like for Pride Month, they'll change their social media profile pictures to have the rainbow flag. Meanwhile, they're still in countries that throw homosexuals off of rooftops,
Exactly.
or they'll, in the case of Disney, they will cut out scenes that feature a lesbian kiss, or they just won't show a movie at all because it has a gay couple in the film. I'm saying that it's hypocritical to be lectured to by people that say that they're pro representation, but they will cut corners in order to,
Accommodate.
Like
Is that
example,
yes.
accommodate. Or you could just say we are pro representation, except for these sort of countries, though, because they don't like it.
because
Then oh well.
right. Well, I mean, I
Just
can
make a
tell you right
disclaimer.
now.
Just make a disclaimer saying we're pro. We're like pro. What was the word? Did I just say? Like
Capitulate or no?
no, like no supportive or
Representation,
Yeah.
yeah. We represent like
pro representation.
pro representation of the LGBT community. However, to all members of the LGBT community, except for certain countries, though. You could just say that from around the world, except for a certain amount of countries, though. You should have just put a disclaimer on that.
Yeah, and here's something else. Let me drop this on you about a 2000 plus year going back and more. There's nothing new under the sun for any, listener or anybody that studies history. Look back at history, look back at sexualism in societies, and you fill in the blanks. I mean, this is nothing new. It's not like this just popped up on the radar screen. I digress from that to say that, those nations that are doing the things to people that are homosexuals, gay, lesbians, whatever, your position, and it's even more than that. It's just not sexuality. It's race, creed, color, everything else under the sun. When you get these major motion picture organizations that aren't identifying these nations like China and certain nations in the Middle East or any other nation on the planet, I don't care what it is, and calling it out, but yet they continue to be mouthpieces over here as innocent men and women and children too are being executed for their sexuality.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Another
Yeah,
part.
go ahead and continue talking. I'm trying to find a picture I want to show on the stream here. Talking about China just a little bit.
Okay. So another
Yeah,
part of another part of tokenization, example of tokenization, which I find which would an example of what would be stupid. Think of Mighty Morphin. How many of you ever heard of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers from the 1990s? Good
Yep,
show.
Four.
Yes, you've heard of it. However, in 2017, they announced.
Yes, that's true, Rusty. They do. And the thing is that you don't have a lot of people that realize this. And just as another disclaimer, I have no personal quarrels with anybody that is of the LGBT community. The only thing that I ask is that you how do I say this?
Don't
I don't
shove
have-
your agenda down my goddamn throat. That's how you say it, cut and dry. At least for
Yeah.
me.
I don't
That's
have a
it.
problem with
I
anybody
respect
who's
it, but I don't
gay.
need shit being
Carter
shoved
over
down my
here
throat.
is bisexual. I play around with him, but he knows that I still care about him. He's my friend.
Yeah, he's
So
my
I
buddy.
don't
Even though
have I don't have a problem with it. The only
I don't
thing
need anybody's
the-
bedroom scene being shoved down my throat.
yeah, the problem is
Oh.
that the community is being exploited by these media organizations, and you're changing these characters, whether it be their race, gender, or sexuality. And the mindset is that, or one of the arguments that I've heard is that that's being done so that those groups of people can see themselves as God, I just lost my train of thought.
No, don't walk on eggshells. Just tell it out.
No, I know. I lost my train of thought.
Those people are being looked at upon as what?
I can't believe I lost my train of thought.
That's
I'm
all right.
sorry.
Carter, go ahead and fill in the blanks, man.
Anyway, as I was saying before, like in the '90s, there was a show called Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and three of the teenagers from Angel Grove, which would become the Power Rangers, there's three of them that have unique features. Zach Taylor, who is the Black Ranger, is a male, African American, and he's straight. Compared to the 2017 movie adaptation, he is actually Canadian Chinese and straight and male. And another part, now compare that to it's like the same name, like it's like taking the same name, but like okay, it's like taking the same name, but like putting like a boot. Have any of you ever seen like those bootleg like figures though? You know, you have like the original figure, and then you have like either a Mexican or Chinese or an Italian bootleg figure. Like it's the same name, but it's like it's a different person. They're like, what the fuck is this? This isn't what I wanted. It's basically like knockoff action. It's basically like knockoff action figures. That's what tokenization is to me, though. Like example, like you have like an Iron Man, like without the helmet though. It's Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr.'s facial appearances, and you know who he is though, because you've seen him in the movies though. And then when you get the Italian version of it, it's just an Italian guy with a mustache, and his name is Iron Dude.
Oh,
It's
man.
like, what the fuck is this?
I
Like
mean,
this
that's
is
not exactly a tokenization. That's just a knockoff.
yeah.
There is a difference between tokenization and a knockoff. But let me ask you guys this: do you think it's fair to say that certain groups of people can only find legitimacy in characters that are the same either race, gender, or sexual orientation as them?
I think that maybe would that be considered racism?
Well,
If
it's
you're
not.
just
If we're talking specifically about race, I'm asking a question for both of you and for everybody that's in the chat. That do you think it's fair to say that certain groups of people can only find common ground, or they can find relatability to characters that are the same race, gender, or sexual orientation as them?
yeah, I would not
Do you
agree
think-
with that whatsoever.
How about you, Carter? What do you think?
I would not agree with that though. It's like them like can you just imagine in the drawing room of like or the office, like a meeting, like the meeting room or whatever it's called, like a damn it, what are those offices called? Like, you know, where they have like those big office meetings?
Cubicles.
No. I mean like a table, like where they go have their discussion meetings.
Oh yeah, executive room or executive office. Or
Thank you, executive office, where they're discussing. They're like, okay, we need an idea for It's like that old meme. It's like that meme though with they're in the meeting like, okay, here's what we need to do. We're gonna make a movie. We need to figure out how we're gonna do. Like, we need to make this character. How we're gonna make him though? We have this one character. We need how we're gonna have him. Like, what's his backstory? Like what's his story? Like, what's his story? What's his race? Like, what's his gender? What's his sexual orientation? And
Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate it.
anyway, I said, what's his gender? What's their gender orientation, and race? It's just like he could be a gay male, a gay African American male. It's like it's just one guy's like he could be gay. This other guy could be like the other girl could be like he could be African American, and
Right.
the other person could be like why don't you just try to stick to the source material? And then the office guy is just pretty sure he just throws that asshole out the window. That's like, just stick to the source material, and just like, just throws him out the window. It's just like that though. That one guy
Right.
that likes like, why don't you just stick to the source material, make money off of the source material? And they're like, oh, fuck you, you're fired. And he goes out the window like, okay, basically so and so is, instead of being how he originally is now a gay black male.
Exactly.
So
It's like laziness.
Rusty answered my question. He says you don't have to 100% of the time, but you do feel better and like to see some of your own some of the time at least. Yeah, you're not wrong. I'm not advocating for no representation. I'm saying that when you change a character that was portrayed or presented as one way and you change it to appease a certain community, I have a problem with that. Because instead of creating your own character that represents a particular community, you use the marquee value and the name brand recognition of a pre-established character to push whatever it is you're trying to push. And that's where I have a problem. So I don't know of how many, for example, gay characters are in comic books. Again, I'm not well versed in all the comic book world. I know that they're out there. I just don't know them by heart. But I would imagine that people in the LGBT community would be pissed off if a character in the comics went from being gay, for example, and then they made him straight. And I would defend you in saying that that's stupid because you're doing a tokenization. It's a deliberate change in a character. And I would be right beside you saying that why would you do that?
Right.
When you
Exactly.
have plenty of other characters that you could choose from.
Right.
Instead, you decide to tokenize a character to advocate to a certain group of people. And I'm not just knocking on the LGBT community. This can be anything. I would say the same thing if they changed a black character to a white character. Okay. If they were to have made, for example, what would happen if they made Black Panther white? Would you be okay with that? Because
No.
I wouldn't, and I'm white, at least partially. I'd have a problem with it because Black Panther is a black man from Africa, from Wakanda. Okay. And changing him to be white would be problematic for me because he was originally portrayed as black in the comics. And if they were to make a film adaptation and make him white, I'd have a problem with it.
Well, he's been portrayed as black for a long, long time.
Well, he was made to be. He was a
Exactly.
black character. That's
the originality. Yes.
That's a non-argument. He's an original black character like Falcon. And instead of keeping Falcon the way he is, they gave him the mantle of Captain America, who was originally white. And I really hate that idea. One, because Captain America is Steve Rogers. Falcon is Sam Wilson. That's how it is in the comics. And I am very much aware that they made Falcon Captain America in the comics as well, but that does not excuse it. Okay? It doesn't excuse it one bit.
Like how Bucky Barnes is Winter Soldier or
Right.
or Lone Wolf
Right.
or White Wolf.
Now
So
they
isn't that
made
right?
they made Bucky Captain America as well, and I would prefer that you just stay within your character arc, your character. You don't need to necessarily give the mantle of Captain America to anyone else. You
And
just
I
stick with
don't
your-
understand the need to accommodate whatever the apparent agenda is, because I just think it steals away from the originality. There's so, like Carter was saying earlier tonight, there's so much material out there where you can start something new, but it's the nostalgic effect where they can go back, draw from that, pull it into the future, and profit off it. And I think it's just wrong. And Mr. Miyagi is great. Yes.
What's going on, Michael? Hope you're doing well tonight. Thank you for joining us.
So it's just, and I know that Carter was kind of chatting about that earlier too. I think it's a great opportunity to create new things. New things are good. Doesn't mean the old is bad, but I think that the opportunity to be creative, like both you and Carter are creating stories, you're doing your own comics. I mean, hand clap to that. I mean, that's great. So,
yeah, example of an example of here's an idea of non-tokenism or tokenization, should it be. Now, before you say, okay, that's a little stupid though. Okay, so and remember, okay, now spoilers in Endgame, when we see Pepper come out wearing her Iron Man outfit or her suit or iron suit that Tony gave her, can you just imagine what she would be called though? Like, would it be Iron Woman, or what do you think it would have been? Like either Iron Woman or Iron Maiden?
I think her character's name is Rescue. I think.
Rescue.
I'm not familiar with, because I know that it happens in the comics, I believe, and if anybody's a comic expert in regards for Iron Man and Pepper Potts taking on that armor, you can let us know in the chat if if her name was Rescue. I believe that's what it was. But
then,
with the death of Iron Man, I mean, that should essentially say, okay, so there's no more Iron Man, and that's fine. There are so many characters in the Marvel catalog that haven't had their live action debut, and it's like, okay, I want to see the Fantastic Four, or I would have, but I really don't trust Disney Marvel anymore to do much of anything. As a quick little side note that I will elaborate on maybe a little later is Loki, the TV series, or the Disney Plus series Loki. I watched it and I was very much anticipating. I really was excited for it, and then I watched it and I realized two things. One, the female Loki thing was completely off. I don't know exactly what they were trying to do with that. And two, they humiliated the character of Loki, and that really upset me. Especially
he's
because
the god of fucking mischief.
And it's especially true because the version of Loki that we're dealing with in the TV series was Avengers 2012 Loki. And just as a refresher, this is the same guy that was going to enslave the entirety of the planet Earth, leading an alien army, and he had no problem killing people. He showed very little mercy or remorse about what he did. When we get into Loki, about at least 2, maybe 3 episodes in, he's did a complete 180. So he saw footage of what we know happened to Loki in the original Marvel timeline for the MCU. And because he watched all of that, he suddenly became much more soft. He wasn't as ruthless as he was. He was still a little mischievous, but he got more soft. And it got to a point where it was focusing more on female Loki, tokenized Loki, versus Loki, the Loki we know. And I just started getting frustrated and bored with the series because I was trying to figure out where it was all leading to. And, spoiler alert, it led to the whole multiverse thing. And, the multiverse, you get the more expanded versions of the characters, the tokenized characters. And once again, let me just say this, that if you enjoy female Loki, for example, if you thought she was really good on the Loki TV series, then more power to you. Don't let what I'm saying just ruin it for you. Just know that for me, it sucked ass. And I did not like how they humiliated Loki. I mean, it got so bad to the point where they were literally kneeing Loki in the balls like a few hundred times. And it was getting very repetitive. It was the same thing. And he's trying to plead with Lady Sif to trust him. And then she just knees him in the balls over and over again. And it's a way to humiliate and maybe humble him. But it felt repetitive and unnecessary. And it just really ticked me off. Yeah, they marketed the show to focus on Loki. But when you get as you get later into the show, it's focusing more on female Loki to get her revenge. And I just really did not like that one bit.
Me neither. And it's just like, exactly. It's like you fucked up the character. It's basically like a Christmas Carol though, minus the Christmas stuff. Okay, it's basically Loki is Ebenezer Scrooge, and female Loki is basically the ghost of Christmas future, or yet to come though, and says that this is how, like, if you continue on this path, this is how you end up. You get fucked over by Thanos, and then you realize, okay, maybe I have a chance to redeem myself. That's basically what it is, though. Minus the whole thing, though. I mean, like, you fucked over a character, like you just changed his story, though.
Right. Look. Yeah, if you don't mind, Carter, let me drop this in there. It just comes to mind. I want you to watch the movie called "It's a Wonderful Life" with James Stewart, because it's going to show you what it would be like if you were not there, you were not born, you were not created. And it really encompasses everything we've been talking about tonight. That what if those original characters were not there? Watch that story. It's a
Mhm.
beautiful story. It's a wonderful life. It's a Christmas story, but it sends a message about the originality of you and your creation, for example, and the creation of all these wonderful things that have been given to us over the many, many decades. And we're just getting started. So I think that would be a great movie to watch. It's a Wonderful Life.
You know, it's interesting that you talk about originality, and this is something that I want to touch on now. Is that one of the reasons why we are saying that the tokenization of these popular characters is lazy is because hold on. Sarah responded. She says, "I love It's a Wonderful Life. I get something from it every time I watch it."
Absolutely beautiful movie.
So
Thanks, Sarah.
one of the when we say that the tokenization of these popular characters it's lazy, consider what happened when these characters, all the popular characters that you know and love today, Hulk, Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, all these characters. Think about when they first got started. All those years ago, back in I don't know for sure, but the mid 1900s. I think that's a fair place to start at.
Yeah.
Okay, a lot of those characters had to work to get to the popularity that they are at right now. Okay, that took a lot of years of many different comic issues, many different stories that the characters are being told in, right? And just consider the work that had to be put in to make these characters icons that they are today. Now consider modern day writers and characters and think about the tokenization of, for example, Superman. Okay, most people know Superman. Most people know Batman. Most people know Spider-Man. It's those characters are American icons in this country, and they're also known worldwide. Now, they obviously didn't get to that popularity overnight. There was a lot of work that went into it. Tokenization is banking off of those names to give us different versions of the same character. That is why it's lazy. It's lazy because back then, when you had a tokenization of a character, for example, She-Hulk, okay? She-Hulk is a tokenized Hulk. Now, back then, it was hard to get your characters to be recognized early on. Why? Because we didn't have the technology that we have today. Social media and the internet have made a lot of things possible. A lot of independent comic book creators are able to access things like Kickstarter, Indiegogo, crowdfunding in order to get their ideas and their stories that they want to tell off the ground. Back then, when these characters first came out, you didn't have access to that. Okay. These days, you do. And instead of creating new characters, whether they be new black characters, new gay characters, new female characters, you're creating tokenized versions of popular characters so that you can sell your stuff. And a lot of times it's lazy and it's kind of shit, if I'm being brutally honest. I really don't like it. I would much prefer that, give us new characters. I don't care if they're gay, straight, black, white, Asian, Hispanic, etc. Okay. If it's a good story with a good character, then people won't have a problem with their skin tone. Okay. I'm not black, yet I like characters like Falcon or Blade or Storm. Okay. I don't have to be black to enjoy those characters. And nobody has to be the specific race, gender, or sexual orientation of a character that they like in order to relate to them. Again, I am not against representation. Just stop tokenizing existing characters and create your own shit. As a matter of fact, I'm creating my own comic book line. Right now, I still got a bit of a foundation being built on it. I'm developing my characters and developing the story. My main lead is a female. I just thought I'd mention that because This is a story that I've been wanting to tell for a while. I got a lot of inspiration from different media, and I'm very excited for the story that I'm going to be telling. And you'll be able to find that here on the channel. I'll make an announcement, say, hey, this is what's getting started. This is what it's going to be about, and stuff like that. But give us original characters. Give us original content. Stop mooching off of the popularity of already established characters. Stop changing them. Please.
Quit
Stop.
sucking them. Quit sucking them. Okay.
Yes. Quit sucking them dry. Quit ruining them, please.
Is that what a vampire does? Suck them dry, Carter?
Good.
Yes. Oh, and not to mention, congratulations on that. I had this, and I've had this for like a long time now, and I've sort of got off track, but I am going to get back on track on it. I myself am working on a novel. A novel. How weird is that?
Not weird at all.
Yeah, and you know what though, and not to mention that I am combining like I'm getting inspiration from history and other people's works. So like I'm getting inspired from it, and I want to like inspire people, like because I have autism, and sometimes I don't think like normal people do. Because sometimes creativity is like, if creativity was a superpower, I'd be king of the fucking world though.
You know what, Carter? I think what you're not realizing is that creativity is a superpower. You want to know why? Because everything we have, everything that we're sitting on, everything that we're looking at, it started with someone being creative. So it is a superpower, Carter. Exactly. And you need to go forward with your story and make it the best that you can. Because you can do it. Yep. You can do it.
Didn't Home Alone, that little kid, didn't he have superpowers?
What? No. He had intelligence, not superpowers though.
So Rusty says the mistake they make is they try to repair the past. Those groups were there but were invisible, so they try to get back. They try to go back and include them in classic lineups rather than make new ones. They have the right idea, wanting to be inclusive, but are going about it the wrong way due to laziness and trying to repair the past. And you know what? And you know what I say to that?
Well said.
I say that it's time to move on from the past. It's time to stop making excuses about why you are where you are. Stop making excuses and blaming other things, and instead look into yourself. Okay? There's no doubt that Black people, people in the LGBT community, women, and other groups of people have been oppressed in this country. I am not denying that whatsoever. They've also been oppressed in the entire world, just like white people have. Okay? But you don't hear white people complaining these days about slavery against them. And yes, slavery, white people being enslaved did happen. Okay, it's what was it called, Dad? It was called the
serfdom.
What?
Serfdom.
Serfdom. Can you explain?
Yeah, it's a form of slavery. You're an indentured servant.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm talking about white people that were being enslaved. It was the Barbary pirates. That was one of them. They were going along the coast of Europe, and they were.
Just as a side note, I mean, the Atlantic slave trade in the 1800s is very, very new. You go back to the Arab slave trade, over 1,000 years ago. Everybody of every color was. I mean, slavery was what it was. It wasn't really.
Would you say it was almost a universal practice that
a lot
absolutely. Of different nations?
It wasn't until the United States. It wasn't until the United States that did away with it.
They weren't the first though. It was somewhere else that they abolished slavery first before America did. I can't remember who it was though. But anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. No, I mean, efforts were made, obviously, as time went along, but slavery was nothing new. I mean, every creed, color, culture under the sun for God knows how long. I mean, at least 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 years. You go back to Egypt. I mean, that's another story, but I digress.
So my whole point in saying this and saying all of that is that don't let the sins of the past define what people of today are. So, white people in the past have enslaved black people. That doesn't mean all white people are bad. That doesn't mean all white people are racist. That doesn't mean that our system is systemically racist. Okay. This country is very diverse. Are there still problems? Do black people still experience racism? Yes. Do gay people still experience persecution for being gay? Yes. With that said, it's not happening as much as it is, or as much as it used to, or how it's still happening in other countries. Okay.
And we better thank God for the United States of America. At least this environment is available where, you know, you're not being suppressed like in a form of a dictatorship, although it starts to appear that way. But you look at these other nations that are doing these things still to this day. You know, go ahead, Carter.
Right.
Uh-oh.
No, so Rusty was saying, come to one of my IRA-laden Irish family dinners, and you'll hear hours of complaining about our enslavement to the Brits. Yeah?
Yeah, that's true though, because Ireland was ruled by the Brits though, and I'm pretty sure they didn't give it. I'm pretty sure that they were ruled by Britain for a short amount of time though. I think they gave up. I don't know when they stopped. I didn't know when Britain decided to give Ireland back to the Irish.
Yeah, and I think he would agree. Out of North Africa, a long time ago, they floated ships across the along Ireland and England, and they took people there too. So
that was the Barbary pirates, right?
I can't remember if it was the Barbary pirates.
Yeah, I think they were one of the groups that were.
Yeah, people have treated people like dog doo-doo for a long time. So we just need to move on, and we as a people, we make it better in our own communities, man. I mean, how else better are you going to fix it?
I mean, hell, just getting a tiny bit political, right? If this country was as systemically racist as a lot of activist groups would like to believe, then I would say that it would have been nearly impossible to get a black man as president, or even to get anybody that's non-white in any position of power in this country, whether that be judges, senators, representatives.
Yeah, I think everybody just to cut it short, everybody needs to do their own history lesson, and don't be afraid to dive into information that's foreign to you so you can educate yourself. That's it. Let's get back to tokenism.
So Rusty says they haven't. We took Southern Ireland back, but Northern Ireland is still under British rule.
Oh.
Okay. So basically what I'm saying is come up with original comic book characters. Don't tokenize the ones that are already existent. Don't be lazy with your writing. Don't be lazy with, trying to make fast bucks. Right?
Yep.
You can come up with new stories. There's a comic series called Chaotic Flux. I've only read the first issue. I met the creator of that comic series at one of the Comic Cons here in Texas, and I liked it. It was a dark superhero fantasy horror mix, and it was not associated at all with Marvel or DC. And I said, you know what? I'm liking this story so far. So we need to support more independent creators. We need to have more rivals to Marvel and DC to show them that when they give us characters like Starfire's daughter, who looks very unusual, I'll just put it that way, or when they decide to tokenize Captain America and make Falcon Captain America, which was a hand-me-down. We need to show them that you don't need to do this.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that Stan Lee, the creator and the founder of Marvel, I'm pretty sure he's rolling in his grave because of this shit. I know I would.
Yeah.
Like I give you my greatest works, and then you repay me by fucking me over and tokenizing them. I'd be like, hell, if I was that guy, if I found out if I was Stan Lee in the ground and I heard about this shit, I would have crawled out of the grave and I would have strangled the mouse himself. Like, you motherfucker! Like, you little cocksucker! You ruined my creation! You son of a bitch!
Yeah,
they did it to Colonel Sanders too with Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Oh, did they? How
Yeah.
did they do that?
I digress from that. Well, they stole the original recipe. I'll let you
Oh,
guys do
okay.
the history.
I see. I got you. So just remember this, people. Whenever you hear any major corporation tell you that they're all for diversity and inclusion, black representation, LGBT representation, don't outright believe them. Even if they'll give you a movie like The Eternals that features a gay couple, or when they tokenize several of the characters, because I believe Kevin Feige said that because the characters weren't very well known, they thought it would be okay to tokenize them and give them a whole bunch of representation, and that would somehow, I don't know, fix things or be more positive. And I believe that the movie's been shat on by both critics and fans, which is very interesting. And I'm actually wondering why the critics gave negative reviews for the Eternals, because the Hollywood critics are usually bought and paid for by these corporations in many ways, and they're basically just shilling for these companies.
Right.
So they'll be like the first people that would defend some of these films. Like, for example, Ghostbusters 2016. I know we've already talked about this film. We've even watched it. We did a watch along. The movie was shit. Okay,
Bullshit.
It was an all-female cast because we needed more female representation, more females in lead roles.
Fucking
When
shit.
the movie was being negatively reviewed by fans for being a shit film, the argument that Sony and people that were involved with the film said was that men are intimidated by women in lead roles. In the case of Charlie's Angels, the remake with what's her name, Kristen Stewart?
Yeah, Twilight.
Elizabeth, what was her name? The director of the film, Elizabeth something.
Hurley?
I can't remember her name, but she said that essentially men don't need to go watch this film because it's not for them. And when men didn't go see this film, I mean, the movie failed from what I remember. It was a critical failure in the box office, and people were confused as to why the movie failed. Well, when you get directors and people involved with the film saying that men don't need to go see this film because it's not for them, or when you get the director of Terminator Dark Fate saying that the female lead, or not what's her name, the hybrid woman. If anybody's seen the Terminator Dark Fate, you know what I'm talking about. The short-haired chick. Okay, the director of the film said that if you're a misogynist, that character is going to scare the shit out of you. Okay,
bitch,
when you say shit like that, you're letting your ass talk for you. You're speaking out of your ass. You don't say shit like that when you're trying to market the film. On top of the fact that a lot of people like Terminator, okay, and Terminator has a very beautiful character arc for a female lead.
Absolutely,
Sarah Connor.
Absolutely.
And most people didn't have a problem with Sarah Connor being a complete badass in Terminator 2. In fact, I would argue that a lot of men, that's almost their ideal woman. If you like guns and you like being a badass, men like to see women being badass. Men like to see women be into the same stuff we're into. Gone are the days, in a way, where it was just men in the basement playing Dungeons and Dragons. Now we get to have the ladies involved too. That's even better. You know how rewarding it is to find a soulmate that's into the same stuff you're into? You know how happy that can make somebody? It can light up their world.
Exactly.
Right? We don't have a problem with that. We don't have a problem with women coming in to being part of these franchises. I like the character of Wonder Woman. I like her a lot. She's one of my favorite characters. So what's the problem?
There is no problem, because before you guys were born, they had Linda Hamilton. They had Linda Carter. They had Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing new. I mean, when I was a kid, a strong lady, I mean, we were not offended by that. We thought that was badass. She showed her.
Fisher.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Carter. Yeah.
I think what it is that feminists have a preconceived notion about men and keeping women out of certain places, and it stems from the reality that you do have men that are in positions of power that take advantage of women. You have the whole Hollywood casting couch thing.
Oh god.
It's
Hey, look,
like
let me drop something on you guys. Go back 6 or 7 decades. There's a lady by the name of Mae West.
Mae
That
West.
yeah,
Sounds
Mae
familiar.
West, beautiful woman in charge of those films. And we're talking back, I think, in the 30s and 40s. So,
Okay,
I mean,
I'm sorry. I'm trying to remember where I heard the word Mae West from, but Mae
mhm.
West. But if I remember correctly, I remember in Band of Brothers, one guy was doing his inventory like gear checks of like what he said, and he said all I'm missing is my M1 my 19 my 1911 my Mae West and my M1 and
Right.
like, all that stuff. And like your Mae West though, and I realized what it terms for. The Mae West was actually the life jacket that the paratroopers wore in World War II. The U.S. paratroopers, in case they missed the jump pad and they landed in either a pond or a lake or the ocean.
No shit.
The Mae West was actually the nickname for their life jackets. Now
Wow.
whenever you see like bomber planes and they have those weird looking orange or yellow looking
Yes.
those are
Yes.
called the life jackets are called Mae Wests, and I'm pretty
Right.
sure that Mae West was like a term for like a I'm not sure if it was like a love interest or like an icon or something.
Well, yeah,
But
because she had big breasts, and that's probably what they were remember.
because of the
On
flotation
that vest.
devices,
Yes.
flotation devices.
Yes. You got
Okay,
it, brother. That's it, Carter.
okay. Now I know where that term came from. Now I know where it came from.
That's good.
Now, and just so you know, and I just want everyone who's watching to know we're not sexualizing her. We're just making a joke. That's what the
I
nickname
don't think
turned
you
like.
need to make that disclaimer though, Carter.
That's all right.
I
It's
I
think
not
if
know.
people,
necessary,
I think that if people can't figure that out for themselves, then they should
especially her, because she
evaluate.
signed on to it.
They should evaluate themselves.
Yep.
But go look at some Mae West. Anyway, I digress. Good movies.
So Rusty says Mae West, Theda Bara, Katharine Hepburn, Elizabeth Taylor. They all controlled the scene back then, not men.
That's right.
Exactly.
They
See, there you
had
go.
a commanding audience, of course.
Oh,
Good stuff, Rusty.
and another inspiration where women decided to take a hold of they decided to take control of the male corporate was a movie with 9 to 5, and I love
Oh
that movie.
yes, Barbara
So
Eden, right?
no. There was a
Oh,
Jane Fonda, Dolly
Jane Fonda,
Parton,
right? Dolly Parton.
and damn, I forgot the third one. But like they were basically now you say that like in like example like Charlie's Angels though that say that like oh men shouldn't watch this movie though. But like here's the thing, and like another thing though, like back in the days when like men were chauvinist pigs and women were all they good for were cleaning the house, staying home, doing dishes and all that stuff and making babies. But that's not true though. If a man could do it, so can a woman though. Like not to mention though that some not only do we have badass women in films though, but we also have badass women in history. Amelia Earhart, the very first woman to acquire a transatlantic license to fly commercial.
Right.
Rosie the Riveter, she was inspirational. You know the pictures
For the
of
rivets of the
yeah,
planes. Yeah.
yeah, the we can
The
do it though.
boat.
Like she was inspiration. Annie Oakley, she was a Western girl from Buffalo from Wild Bill's. Was it Buffalo Bill or Wild Bill? I think it was
I
Buffalo.
think it was. I think it was about the Buffalo Bill, or no, Wild Bill Hickok show or something.
Yes, like, and she was a sharpshooter, and
Right.
exactly like you have inspiring that some of these women though that we think are fictional, there are actual some real badass women as well. Another example, Clara Barton. If you don't know who the fuck Clara Barton is, you need to pick up a fucking history book. Clara Barton, who was nicknamed the Angel of the Battlefield, fun fact, was actually in the American Civil War and she was a nurse. And it wouldn't be
Right.
until like either 1890 or into the like late 1890s, late like into the 1900s, she was the founder of the American Red Cross.
Right.
Like
Hey, and let's not forget. Let's have.
Susan
I hate
B.
to say.
Anthony,
Right. I was just gonna say that about the flag.
Betsy Ross.
Betsy Ross was the
Yes,
flag.
yeah, it was because of her that we have the good old stars and stripes. Though, if it wasn't for her, our flag would still be like the Union Jack or whatever the fuck it was.
Right, and Harriet Tubman too for the Underground Railroad.
Yes, like women though, like some women.
Black and white. Come on, man.
Yeah, black and white.
What about the Hispanic and Asian? Where are they at?
Oh
they're
yeah,
there. They're there too. Anyway, I digress.
but like if a guy could do it, so can a woman though.
And they were never tokenized, I don't think, right?
Funny. But, I think to sort of bring things full circle, I just want to say this, that everything that we said tonight is not an advocation to not have representation for the different, minorities as they're called here in the country. That we're not advocating for less representation. We're just saying, give us the representation that doesn't end up changing established characters. You have no need to do that. Have the confidence in yourself to make your own characters, or even tell Marvel, stop tokenizing characters and bring in the LGBT characters or the black characters that haven't been brought to film yet. Don't just tokenize, right? Because, for example, I'm hearing rumors that they're going to be doing a Black Superman film. And they haven't even done Henry Cavill complete justice yet for his Superman, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And, we're getting a Black Superman. I just find it to be ridiculous that we're even having to go down that road. Just give us originality. And it's out there. Don't get me wrong. It is out there.
And it doesn't have anything to do with representation. These are characters that are their identity is being stolen. Create something new. Let's get back to originality. Create new content. That's what this is all about.
How many different versions of Batman do we need?
I know, right?
We've had several interpretations of Batman in live action alone.
Representation.
And so now it's like, we've had a couple films with Ben Affleck's Batman, and now we're getting a different Batman.
They're just choking it. They're just choking the industry. It's terrible.
Adam West, Michael Keaton, George Clooney,
Val Kilmer,
Christian Bale,
Ben Affleck, and now Robert Pattinson.
Just killing it.
It's like, God damn it.
Remember this term. Hollywood is creatively bankrupt.
Remember that term. Exactly what's going on. So it's not even about representation. It's about just cashing in at the expense of the fans, and the hell with creativity.
Yep. I won't watch. Rusty says, I won't watch a Black Superman. There's no need for such a thing.
Well said.
I agree.
Well
said. 110%.
Yeah.
And I really feel that there are better things to do with your creativity than just mooching off of the popularity of another character.
Yeah, and in the words of Dr. Emmett Brown or George McFly said, if you put your mind to it, you could accomplish anything, though.
That's right.
Exactly.
Don't leech off something. Just like make it yourself, though. Like create something of your own, because, like I said, imagination is not only just a superpower; it's your weapon.
Right. Absolutely. And let me drop this in here too. Everybody's got skills, talents, and abilities. Okay. I love to see Black, white, Asian, Hispanic characters act out their roles in their best ability. Okay. Why are we even arguing about, we're not even arguing, but it's being influenced by the media. It's being influenced politically. And this is not how people are thinking. We have gone so far beyond the negative things of the past here in this country. Thank God. And, where everybody has a play at the table, if you will, and everybody brings all their abilities and skills and their talents to the table and perform, So
yeah.
I am.
Rusty says, give me a Storm solo film instead. Yeah, I think Storm can have her own film. It'd definitely be interesting. I didn't really like the portrayal of Storm in the more recent X-Men films. I thought they were kind of weird. I was sort of okay with Halle Berry's Storm, but even that one was kind of like, I don't know. And that's why I'm a little worried about when they bring the X-Men into the MCU, because on top of the fact that a lot of our society these days is very politically correct on things, one thing I heard from, I believe, a Marvel executive or a Marvel writer, or maybe both, was that they want to change the name of X-Men, get this, to X people.
Okay.
It's disgusting, man.
Now-
You stupid motherfucker.
And I gotta that X people does not roll off the tongue. Okay, it doesn't roll off the tongue whatsoever.
It's weak.
X-Men
Weak.
sounds fluid. Hell, I believe it was X-Men Dark Phoenix, the newest Dark Phoenix. You had Mystique in there saying maybe it should be X-Women instead. It's like, what?
What the fuck?
Now look, the terms like mankind have never been.
Chairman.
I mean, it hasn't been a reference to just men. Mankind, the world of men. It's old English. So, like when you watch Lord of the Rings, you have the goblin or the orc general. He says like the age of men is coming to an end. I saw a few people make a meme where they put a like purple or pink hair on the guy, and they say it's supposed to be like a feminist meme, and then she has like the big glasses that look ridiculous. It's like the age of men is coming to an end. It's very funny, very funny. Hey, there you go, Alita Battle Angel. I love that film, by the way. It was a really good film, which it was getting shit on, by the way. It was getting shit on back when it first came out because they were saying that Alita Battle Angel was like fulfilling the ideal male fantasy for a woman. And it's like, you know what? I think you guys are just jealous that Captain Marvel performed poorly. It wasn't really a good film. And you had a film about a woman in a lead role that had a better fucking story than fucking Captain Marvel. And,
Yeah, and like
I don't know what to do
so
anymore.
basically what I think of in my opinion of Alita Battle Angel, it's not just the ideal woman for every male fantasy, which funny. How did y'all get Macaulay to join? No. Like I said though, it's not the ultimate male fantasy. It's storytelling. It's fucking storytelling. Like example, like when I think of Alita Battle Angel, I think of a cyberpunk style Detroit female version of Pinocchio instead of okay, I know what you're thinking. Oh my god, where's he going with this?
I hope it's nothing weird.
But like it's not though. I just think of it as like thinking of Alita Battle Angel as the cyborg female version of Pinocchio, though instead of being brought to life by magic, though she was brought to life through creation, though through science, though
technology. And speaking really quick on tokenization again, I forgot to mention one character when we were discussing earlier tokenized characters. So Batwoman is a tokenized character.
Oh god.
And it's funny because in the Batwoman TV series, they tokenized the character twice. So Batman was was played by I don't remember her name in the comic, and I don't watch the show, but I know that Batwoman was supposed to be Bruce Wayne's cousin, and she was essentially the like lesbian Batman because she was a lesbian and she was Jewish. Which, a quick side note, when they cast Ruby Rose to play the role, they said that Ruby Rose wasn't gay enough to play the role of Batwoman. And it goes to this idea that I've been seeing a lot, is that these people will eventually eat each other. Like the people that focus solely on identity politics, once the straight white male, the embodiment of the bad guy, once they get rid of the straight white male, they'll just go and attack each other. A good example of this is feminists. So you know how a lot of feminists are all about like female empowerment and stuff, and how men are oppressing women. Well, you had feminists supporting the Muslim community when that was a big thing about the migrants and whatnot. But the funny thing is, in many Muslim countries, still to this day, women are still oppressed over there.
Exactly.
Like they're still being held back because of that patriarchal mindset in that part of the world. And I'm thinking to myself, you feminists do realize that that community that you're trying to defend, and again, it's not everybody. I can't stress this enough, and I shouldn't even have to say it, but people in that country are still behind in regards for progressive ideals. Okay, and I'm not fully on board with all progressive ideals either. I am fully in support of anybody, regardless of who they are, their sexual orientation, their race, gender, whatever. I'm fully in support of them having equal rights. And I shouldn't even have to say that. That's just something that's a non-point that's just it comes with the package. Okay, so I shouldn't have to say it. It's just you have people that are shitting on, for example, straight white men as the villain right now. But once the straight white man is gone, they'll start going against each other. They'll start arguing with each other, and that's just the nature of it. So the idea is to stop this shit now before it gets to a point of no return. Because what happens when, for example, you have feminists that will argue, or that have been arguing about transgendered women in competing in female sports. And I mean, there have been a lot of people that have been commenting on this issue. And so my 2 cents on it is that a transgender woman is still a biological male. Okay. You have the physique, you have the body structure of a man. It doesn't matter what you change on the outside. It doesn't matter what name you call yourself. You're still biologically a man. And what's been happening is that when you've had these transgender women participating in female sports, they're crushing the female competition very badly. Okay. And that's obviously because they're biological men. And that's a problem for me. That's not fair, for one thing, especially like in regards for like the sprints, like the races.
Track and field?
Yeah, the track races.
Yeah,
it's a fucking no-brainer.
Yeah,
it's
I mean, you have
no-brainer,
the
man.
transgender women outpacing the
You got
women.
a guy with a cock going up against women's sports. I mean, come on, man.
It's
what
not
the
just
freaking
that.
hell?
It's the biology of it. And anyway, so that's unfair. And that's just like a quick side note.
Okay. Also, sorry. Another part of tokenization I forgot to mention was I mentioned.
Yeah, that's Rusty. He says Midnighter is gay and married to fellow Authority member Apollo in the well-established comic series The Authority and Stormwatch. Give me that film as well. Those are DC Comic Universe series. Okay, there you go. So you have your own characters that are gay and they haven't had films yet. And if they're good characters and they can sell well, make a live action film of it instead of changing pre-established characters. And he says, so I agree, they could do stuff with these groups without changing past characters. And yes, I agree. That's what we're advocating for.
Also, as I was saying, earlier, like I said, in Power Rangers, the TV show, Zach Taylor, who was portrayed by Walter Jones, I met him, by the way, is an African-American male, and he has a crush on a girl. So he's basically black, male, and straight. Now we meet Trini Kwan, who is played by the late Tweet Trang, rest in peace, the original Yellow Ranger, who is Vietnamese or Asian American, female, and she's straight. And another thing, Billy Cranston, who was played by David Yost, want to meet him, is actually a white male straight guy. And compare those two, they're original, they have their own quirks though. Zach loves doing likes martial arts, doing sports, and dancing. That's original to them. Now Trini, she's into martial arts, and she's into environmental. She's an environmentalist and other things though. And Billy, on the other hand, though, he is very smart and he talks in very big words that some people don't understand though. Only Trini can understand his lingo.
Mm-hmm.
Basically so you just suffered from so you just got an epidural hematoma, and you look at him and you're like, what the fuck did you just say? And then Trini would say blunt force trauma, and then compare it to the 2017 reboots. So as I said though, in Zach Taylor is portrayed by a Canadian Chinese though, and his story is different though. Trini Kwan though is portrayed by a Mexican American by Becky G. And it's kind of weird though to have a character named Trini Kwan if you're fucking Mexican. That's kind of stupid though. And don't you think that it's a little stupid that your name is Quan and you're actually Mexican though? Not to mention she's actually like I'm not sure if she actually turned out to be turns out she was lesbian in the movie. And Billy Cranston was actually a straight black guy who is also a nerd but also has autism, which is sort of weird though, like a little quirky deal, like a little like they all have interesting quirks though. Not to mention though, it's just weird though. Like you take the characters from the original TV show, and then you just screw them over. Like you put random people in their place, like who the fuck is this? They're like
Yeah, so essentially
they're
it
like
wasn't really
knockoffs.
respecting the source material.
Hell no.
In your opinion, yeah. So I mean, I've heard of the Power Rangers. I've watched a few Power Rangers episodes, but Carter is more of a Power Rangers expert and fan than I am. And so, him giving his, what his experience with tokenization, it is unfortunate, and it just shows that people are kind of running out of ideas, which is why, I'm always hesitant when Hollywood announces that they're bringing back an old franchise, because I'm always worried that they're going to fuck it up. They fucked up with Ghostbusters, Terminator, Star Wars, Doctor Who especially. We're eventually going to talk about Doctor Who and the downfall of that series, because my God in heaven, that is a shit show. That is a shit show. But
not even a sonic screwdriver could help us.
Yeah, no kidding. So that's going to do it for this episode. I think that we've toiled on long enough on this subject of tokenization. And of course, as this series progresses, we will obviously come back and touch on this topic, because inevitably, as more media comes out from Marvel, DC, or whatever other franchise decides to dip their toe in the pool of tokenization, we will be there to talk about it and see how they're going to fuck up another character. But here's hoping that they don't, but no promises. Let's see. As far as Marvel is concerned, I'm really excited for Spider-Man No Way Home, though I am, again, cautiously optimistic about that film because it's under Marvel, Disney, and they've done a bang-up job with Phase 4 so far.
Yeah.
But, here's
tokenization of Mary Jane, of MJ.
Yeah. That is a tokenized character. And just as another quick side note, I'm noticing that a lot of characters, well, let me put it this way. I think that Hollywood has something against gingers, because I've noticed quite a few characters that were redheads that were kind of changed. For example, Jimmy Olsen. He is a white guy ginger in the Superman comics. In the Supergirl TV series, he's a black guy. And I'm wondering, okay, why? Or when they tokenized Jimmy Olsen in Man of Steel, I forgot the character's name, but in that movie, but it was a female. I forget her name, but that was another tokenization, which was confusing.
Jamie Olsen?
It's like, why would you do that? And I think the head of the Daily Bugle or Daily Planet. Excuse me.
Wrong Daily.
I forget his name. The guy that's he's in charge. He's in J. Jonah Jameson's position for the Daily Planet. But in Man of Steel, he was portrayed by Lawrence Fishburne. Now, of course, I like Lawrence Fishburne. He's a good actor.
Exactly.
It's just, but like Nick Fury, portrayed by Samuel L. Jackson, it's that's a tokenized Nick Fury, because the original Nick Fury was a white guy.
Yeah.
And it's kind of sucks that happens. But gingers, I don't know what Hollywood has against gingers, man, but it's something very unusual. So let's see. So Rusty says it can happen in reverse too. Interview with a vampire and Let the Right One In were both reverse tokenized in their American Hollywood versions. Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Reverse tokenization happens a lot. If, for example, if there was this is just a hypothetical scenario. If there was a female Japanese superhero with the power of sword fighting, and she has the ability to channel energy through her sword. If an American version came out with the same character, but instead the character was a white girl that had the same powers, I'd have a problem with it, because it's wait a minute, she was Japanese originally. Why are you changing the race of the character? I have a problem with that. So any tokenization I'm going to have an issue with. Now, there are some tokenizations that are better than others, like She-Hulk, although not so much these days because the latest incarnations of She-Hulk have not been the best, but I do like She-Hulk. I do like X-23 to a point. That's the clone of Wolverine. But when they decided to make her the new Wolverine in the comics after the death of Wolverine, they even gave her the costume. I was like, no, I don't like this one bit.
Gwenpool.
Yeah, I mean, you could have had, for example, talk on X-23. You could have had X-23 with her own story. And obviously she's a clone of Wolverine, but just because she's a clone doesn't mean that she's going to do the same things as Wolverine. You could have had a completely different character arc, character traits, but instead they gave her the costume, which was
Meh.
Yeah.
And here's what and listen. Okay, yeah. Huh.
Both American versions of those films were de-gayed a little bit for American audiences. When did those films come out, by the way? Because I remember hearing. I've never seen both of those films. I think I've seen parts of Interview with the Vampire, but I was just curious as to when they came out, because there's no doubt that there were certain stigmas against certain representation, back in the early 1900s all the way through the 2000s. It's definitely there. I think that there are things that you could do better with that instead of. I think you should just leave films the way they are.
Yes.
We're not in the Hays Code era. Remember, Rusty, you were talking about the Hays Code on your stream and how they fucking censored films, and we're going to eventually talk about censorship too. Censorship and cancel culture are coming into the war on pop culture. We're going to be eventually discussing those subjects too. That's very, very interesting little topic.
Oh, and don't worry. And I'll tell you what though.
Okay, I got you. I remember Interview with the Vampires back in the 90s.
Yeah,
I just wasn't sure.
Brad Pitt, Tom Cruise, and Kirsten Dunst, baby Kirsten Dunst.
Yeah.
Like, here's the thing though. Here's the thing. Like, okay, here's the thing. Okay. So, if you're going to make a movie or a franchise and you base it on, and it involves, and you're going to take some characters from the franchise and put it into your movie or TV show, base them off the fucking source material. If you're gonna base them off the fucking source material, don't change them every little bit though. You ever heard the phrase, if it ain't broke, don't fix it? That's what I'm telling you. Do it how it's supposed to be in the source material. Otherwise, don't fucking do it at all. What the fuck?
Yep. So I just wanted to show this off really quick before we wrap it up. So if you guys recall back when we were talking about Disney and Star Wars, and I wanted to tell a little bit of a interesting thing that happened. So when Star Wars The Force Awakens was announced and it was going to be releasing worldwide, it was also going to be released in China. China is a very big market for American films, which is very interesting. And I think that it's safe to say that China has a problem with Black people. I've heard so many stories about this, but with Disney and their hypocrisy about wanting representation and being okay with representation, I just want to show you guys the poster for The Force Awakens. Now, on the left, you're going to see the Chinese poster, and then on the right, you're going to see the American poster. So let me go ahead and pull this up really quick, and I want you guys to check out the difference. And just tell me what you guys think.
What's wrong with this picture?
And I want you guys in the comments in the live stream chat to tell me what you guys think about this. I really want to hear your thoughts on this. Okay. Let's see. Now, I want you to just look at a certain character. Now, you may not think this is much of a big deal, but for a lot of people, it is. It was. Still is. What do you guys notice? You notice that our friend here,
the Finn,
John Boyega, Finn, who, when I first saw the trailer for The Force Awakens, I was very excited to see his character because it's the first time that we got a stormtrooper that was defecting, and he was going to be a major character in the film. Okay, that's him in the Chinese poster. This is him in the American poster. Now, obviously, if you've seen the film, it's a main character. He's a main character. Look how much they reduced his ass for the Chinese poster. That's bad. That's
Is he
really
gone? I can't even see him.
He's right there.
He's right there next to BB-8. He's under
You
under
see?
Han Solo's DL-44. Look there.
Well, you know why, right?
Yeah, because China has a problem with black people. That's
Yeah,
why.
they're blacklists.
They like to. They're on a. I mean, they feel that their race is superior. So the only reason why they got the white folks on there is because they're raping them of their money anyway.
Yeah,
And
they've already their media.
They've
in
already
many ways
taken.
too.
What's that?
And because they're in control of a lot of their media too.
Right, and they're also in Africa too, and have been exploiting that country as well as the United States and Russia.
Yep.
And England too.
So I just wanted to show you guys that nice little poster. Yeah, so China has a problem with everybody. Yeah, I think they do. I think they really do. And then he says the black guy is gone. So he's not gone, though.
He's
you
shrunk.
could theoretically say he's gone because they shrunk his image down so much.
Because they minimize the people they're enslaving.
Now watch this, okay? Because Disney's all about Black Lives Matter.
Oh, God.
And John Boyega called them out on this. Now, I don't agree with John Boyega on everything, but I do agree with what he said that, you guys are not in support of Black Lives Matter. Not when you minimize his fucking picture for China.
Really?
Are you kidding me? And this is why I don't really want to give my money to Disney. I don't trust Disney for shit. I don't trust them for Marvel. I don't trust them for Star Wars. I don't trust them for much of anything at all because they're hypocritical. Hence the reason in our title we have the hypocrisy of diversity and inclusion because they don't give a shit. They don't give a shit about black people. They don't give a shit about Asian people. Dude, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, okay? Whatever your feelings on the movie, your opinions, that's not relevant right now. What's relevant is that it is a movie about a Chinese superhero and the fucking movie was banned in China. Why? Oh, and on top of that, they tried to portray San Francisco as a beautiful, lush city.
Fucking shit.
It's shit now, and it's very unfortunate.
Yep, there's a Google map that shows you where all the shit piles are, literally.
Yeah. So Rusty says, people hate us redheads too. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order PC game was attacked because he's a ginger. Yeah, I heard about that. I heard because he's a white guy too. And yeah, I said this earlier that I think that that Hollywood and people in that industry and those related industries have a problem with gingers. I honestly believe that because you have so many characters that are tokenized, as we said earlier. Jimmy Olsen in the Supergirl TV series for the CW. Jimmy Olsen's played by a black guy. You have a few other characters from DC that are getting live action adaptations, and I don't remember all of them, but you got a tokenization there as well. Titans, the TV series Titans. I never watched it, but one of the biggest controversies that came out about that show was Starfire, and how they had Starfire as a black woman. And the thing is that we're not talking about the actress who portrays the character. It's the fact that they didn't make Starfire with orange skin, like how she is in the comics. And I had a problem with that too, because I was growing up on Teen Titans. I read a few of the comics. I watched the TV show, the animated show, when I was a kid. And I remember Starfire being a certain way. But for that live action series, they decided to not change her skin tone to match how she was in the comics. And her hair initially, it was all like curly and shit. I found that to be very weird too. It's like, what the fuck is this? She almost looked like a prostitute, if I'm being honest. That initial outfit that she had, she looked like a goddamn prostitute.
Is that my hoe over there on the corner?
So, yeah, I think that Hollywood has something wrong with gingers. I think it's because they're very white. I guess. I mean, I don't know. I'm just throwing out ideas. It's like I think they have a problem with gingers.
And I'm pretty sure that Hollywood, that 90% of them are fucking greedy Jews. No offense to members who are Jewish. I'm just saying, they're greedy.
I'm Jewish.
No offense.
What are you trying to say, boy?
Not you. And I'm especially Disney, though. They're all diversity, and they're just trying to make that cash cow, which is kind of weird, though, because Walt Disney actually hated Jews. And what were Jews mostly good for? loving money.
Interesting.
So it's kind of weird, though, that they want to make that money, though, but they're doing it from the style of another religion.
Interesting.
Sorry, comparison.
Idea. Comparison. Anyway, so that's going to do it for us. It's we're almost at 2 hours. This went a little longer than I thought, but that's okay. Having the conversations that need to be told.
What's the final message for tokenization there, Spooky?
Tokenization. Don't do it. Don't do tokenization. Be original. Stop changing established characters so you can make money off of them.
Because
by
of the
giving us
race,
diverse versions.
gender.
Because the thing to remember is that they're changing the race, gender, or sexual orientation of these characters for political reasons or social political reasons. Okay, it's to advocate and pander to these groups of people, even though people in those groups are tired of the shit too. They're like, why are you not coming out with original characters or giving us live action adaptations of already existing characters that are the specific, race, gender, sexual orientation? So stop being creatively bankrupt. Come up with new ideas. It's okay. You can branch off from the main line comics. You have plenty of people that are doing it. It can be done. Okay. And I also recommend that you guys check out Eric July's channel, Young Ripa 59. Links are in the description. Fair warning for anybody that he's a very interesting individual. He's very knowledgeable on what he's talking about, especially when it comes to tokenization. I listen to him a lot. I got a lot of my information from him because he laid it out in a very good way. So please make sure to go check out his channel. Check out the videos I have in the playlist or in the description of the video. And come up with your own opinions. Come up with your own ideas. Take what we said here and research it. Look it up for yourselves. Come up with your own conclusions. Before we go, I'm going to address the chat. So Rusty says, yeah, gingers are very pale. Blue, green eyes, pale skin, red hair. We are as white as you can get. Yeah, that's very true. Thank you to everyone that was in the chat. Thank you, Rusty. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Bacon. Thank you, Kyle. We all here appreciate your support and interacting with us. I hope this was educational and somewhat entertaining as well. And we will continue progressing through this series, talking about different topics, revisiting old topics as it will become most likely relevant as new things come out. Things that you can expect from us within the next few days. Tomorrow, we have our Roseblood watch along with Kyle Curtis Flett from Flett's House of Horror. Roseblood is the Friday the 13th fan film being done by Peter Anthony. I'm very much looking forward to that film. I haven't watched it yet. No spoilers, please. We haven't watched it yet, but we're going to be watching it tomorrow. And then on Saturday, we're going to be doing a Home Alone watch along, which is going to be very fun. We're going to be joined by Bacon and Kyle. It's going to be really cool.
And me.
And of course, as always, that we'll be doing the War on Pop Culture most of the time, every week, once a week. And, the days will vary. Obviously, we did our first episode on Monday or Tuesday. And this time we're doing it on Thursday. So just make sure to stay tuned. Spread the word about this series if you want to share with your friends and family. It's going to be a good time. And once again, thank you guys very much for listening and supporting, watching. We very much appreciate it. And until next time, welcome to the war.